We just got back from a 15-day, 14-night cruise on board the Costa Fortuna in the Mediterranean. And today, we're going to give you our full review of the experience. As usual, we're going to review every aspect of the cruise and rate it from 1 to 5 anchors. So, without further ado, let's begin. Hi everyone, I'm Rick.
And I'm Andrea. And today we'll give you a full review of our 15-day cruise on board the Costa Fortuna in the Mediterranean that we just took.
Right. But now, before we begin,
Yes.
I want you to know that we pay for our cruises.
Yes.
You know, folks ask us, did we get the cruise for free? No. We do this because this way we can give you a fully unbiased opinion.
Absolutely. Now, if you want to help our channel because you like the travel-related videos like this one, now may be a great time to hit the subscribe button down below so you never miss any future videos.
Absolutely. Maybe you just like watching us on your TV, right?
Absolutely. Let's begin our Costa Fortuna cruise review by talking about boarding. We boarded the Costa Fortuna in the port of Savona, Italy. We drove to Savona and used the port parking facility for our car. We booked the parking in advance on the website, and upon arrival we found out that booking in advance was smart, because without a reservation the parking was sold out. So, if you plan on driving to Savona to take a cruise and leaving the car there at the port, you should reserve your parking in advance to avoid being sold out, especially if there's more than one ship in port. Once we dropped our bags, the parking attendant parked our car, and we boarded. One of the people that traveling with us required a wheelchair, so we requested the chair at the bag drop-off. In a few minutes, someone from Costa arrived and pushed the chair through the boarding process all the way down. Because we were traveling with someone who would require special attention, we walked in front of the line and boarded the ship really quickly.
I have to say, that was very convenient. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in that situation.
It's time to vote now for boarding, and I give boarding procedure a solid 5 out of 5 anchor because it was very smooth. The process was quick and efficient, and Costa did a very good job helping us with the wheelchair. What's the vote, Rick?
Yeah, you know, I love skipping the line whenever I can. And I think you're absolutely right. I mean, Costa went above and beyond, and for this one, boarding deserves a solid 5 out of 5 anchors. Everything was smooth, easy, efficient, and remember to book your parking in advance if you're going to be sailing from Savona. All right, so time to move on to our next topic to review on board the Costa Fortuna, and we're going to review the ship. The Costa Fortuna was built in 2002 by Fincantieri and launched a year later in 2003. It's 272 meters long and 35 meters wide. It has a maximum capacity of 3,470 passengers and 1,027 crew members. It has 14 decks and 3 pools, and the first one is on deck 9 midship. Another pool is on deck 10 towards the front of the ship, and another one is on deck 9 all the way aft with a retractable roof. The suntanning areas are spread between decks 9, 10, 11, 12, and 14. Unfortunately, though, there are a lot of steps between deck 9 and 11, and this configuration may not be the best for passengers with mobility issues, as we discovered. The main passenger decks are decks 3, 4, and 5. In particular, on deck 5, you'll find the stores, the Grand Bar, the casino, the piano bar, the Salone Leonardo Lounge, and the Susshino restaurant. On deck 4, towards the front of the ship, you'll find the photo department, the future cruise desk, and the upper floor of the main dining rooms, Raffaello and Michelangelo. On deck 4, there's also the chapel, the library, and even a disco club, many of which we found to be practically unused on this sailing, and in our opinion, it was a bit of a wasted space. However, we did find the card-playing area on deck 4 to be frequently used, and was quite ideal for us because almost nobody was walking around there. Also on deck 4, all the way aft, there's the Club Bistro, and this is the new restaurant for Gold and Platinum members. More on that later. Finally, on deck 3, midship, you'll find the atrium with a nice bar, panoramic elevators, and the front desk right on the side, and of course the excursion desk on the left side. On deck 3, midship, you'll find the first floor of the Raffaello main dining room, while all the way aft, you'll find the Michelangelo main dining room. Also on decks 3, 4, and 5, all the way at the front, you'll find the theater.
Yep.
Unfortunately, we noticed right away that this ship is rather old, and it shows. The decor is outdated. In fact, we heard many people describing it as, what?
Las Vegas in the 80s.
Yeah, exactly. I think many areas need an upgrade. In any event, it's time to vote for the ship, and my vote is going to be a 3 out of 5. Andrea, what do you think?
Yeah, the decor is a little old and the ship is not in the best shape. However, I noticed that it was very stable and very smooth even when the sea was a bit choppy. Because of that, I give the ship a 3 out of 5 anchors. Time to review another aspect of our Costa Fortuna cruise, and we will talk about the itinerary. Our cruise was a 14-night Italy, Greece, Spain and France cruise. We started from the port of Savona, Italy, and then we sailed to Civitavecchia, Italy, which is the port of Rome. We then sailed to Messina, Sicily, and after Messina, we took 6 days to arrive in Heraklion on the island of Crete in Greece. We then sailed to the port of Rhodes on the island of Rhodes in Greece. After that, we sailed to the island of Mykonos, where we stayed until 10 o'clock p.m. We then sailed to the island of Santorini. After Santorini, we sailed to Argostoli on the island of Kefalonia. After that, we had 2 sea days before reaching the island of Ibiza in Spain, where again we stayed late until 10 o'clock. After Ibiza, we reached Barcelona, Spain, and after Barcelona, we sailed to La Seine-sur-Mer in France, before going back to Savona, Italy. As you can see, it was a very unusual Mediterranean itinerary, with a few unusual island and port, which are very, very beautiful, especially Rhodes and Ibiza. Overall, we think that this itinerary was amazing, especially for passengers like us who have been cruising the Mediterranean before many, many times. In particular, I really enjoy the island of Rhodes and the island of Ibiza, which I've never seen before, and I have to admit, are both very stunning. So, time to vote for the itinerary, and you might have guessed that my vote is a solid 5 out of 5 anchors. What is your vote, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of places that I hadn't seen before, so I was really happy to see that in the Mediterranean. So for me, the itinerary is a solid 5 anchors out of 5. Okay, so now it's time to review another aspect of our Costa Fortuna cruise, and we're going to talk about the cabin. All right, so we booked 2 balcony cabins on deck 8 midship. The cabins are the usual Costa cabins. They're very spacious with a nice amount of closet space and drawers, right? Now, if you've watched our reviews of other Costa cruise ships, like the Costa Pacifica, Costa Favolosa, Costa Fascinosa, and so on, you know that we don't like the ugly brown couch. Can you believe in our cabin we had an even uglier version of the ugly brown couch? I have never seen one so bad. Also, I tend to walk around the cabin without shoes from time to time, and I found that the carpet in this cabin was filthy. It was actually the worst I had ever experienced on a cruise ship. And not only were the carpets filthy, but the couch was dirty inside, so we didn't store anything in there. Now, yes, we mentioned this to the housekeeping manager, Marvin, who was incredibly nice and we became very friendly with. And I'm very pleased to report that our cabin got a deep clean. Immediately. And the couch was magically replaced with a newer, really old, ugly brown couch. But at least it was very clean, so thank you for taking care of that. In more positive news, the bed was super comfortable, and the balcony was very nice and spacious. The bathroom also had a very decent amount of space and had the usual Costa layout that we've seen on the other Costa ships. Now, the TV on board the Costa Fortuna was very small and had a very limited selection of non-Italian channels. In fact, there were only 3 English channels, and 2 of which were the same one.
And news, just news.
Just news. And also, the TV didn't work very well, and we kept, reporting it, and it took about 4 or 5 days before it was fixed. So I think it took a little while longer than it should have to watch the news. But it did get replaced. Now, one thing to note, and this has nothing to do with the Costa Fortuna specifically, but our cabin was right below the pool deck. And early in the morning and late at night, there's a lot of noise coming from the pool deck, from the deck attendants moving the pool loungers or the sun chairs. So if you book a cruise, maybe being right below the Lido deck isn't the best idea. Now, again, this is not Costa's fault. This is more of an FYI. In the cabin, we also noticed that our fridge was not working in our room, and we've heard many other passengers, reporting the same issue. Now, we called for repair, and, well, I was told that they only guarantee the fridges that they work only for passengers who need to store medications in it. And I guess this is kind of in line with what Costa's doing with the Toscana and the Smeralda, where they don't even have fridges in the ship.
In the room.
In the room. And an interesting turn of events, towards the end of the cruise, our fridge was removed from the room, maybe to be replaced, but it hadn't been before we disembarked. Lastly, the cabin had 1 European electrical plug, 1 American plug, and 1 USB plug, all by the desk. And I say it was very convenient, and we were happy with it. Now, I do have a little PSA to add. In case you don't know, that's a public service announcement. Now, my mom and her partner had some issues with the toilet not flushing a couple of times. Very frustrating. And we soon found out that they were using flushable wipes in the toilet, even though we told them not to do it. It was a big mistake. So folks, if you're on a cruise ship, please do not put anything in the toilet other than the toilet paper that's provided by the cruise ship. Nothing else. Anyway, wasn't a big deal. We got it sorted out.
Yeah.
Okay, so time to vote for the cabin, and I have to say, this one is going to be a 2 out of 5 anchors. I don't think I want to go back on the Fortuna, at least not unless there's a specific itinerary that is amazing. Andrea, what do you think?
Well, the cabin was spacious and the bed comfortable. The decor was in need of an update. For this reason, my vote is a 3 out of 5. Well, time to move to our next item to review on board of the Costa Fortuna cruise, and we will talk about service.
Yes.
In general, we were really happy with the service. Almost everyone was very nice and friendly on board. People at the front desk were really nice and helpful, and every time we need this wheelchair service, they were very efficient and quick in providing it.
Might be that $5 tip every time.
The tip was not for the front desk. We had a lot of interaction with the English-speaking host Marty, who we knew from a previous cruise and was very helpful. He really took good care of us, and we got along really well. He also helped us a lot with an issue that we had during an excursion. More about that later. Also, we are happy to see the head chef Gianluca that we knew from our past cruise on Costa Pacifica. Also, the restaurant staff and the bar staff were fantastic, but we'll talk more about that when we talk about the restaurant and bars. The only minor complaint we had about the service was with our cabin steward. It seemed that she was tired. We saw her a couple of times chatting on the phone while cleaning our room or cleaning the hallway. At Embarkation, like you said before, the room was not really clean and the carpet was in need of a deep vacuum.
Which we got.
Also, the cabin steward was not proactive at all. For example, at Embarkation, we had no beach towels or bathroom in the room. We asked her and she brought them the day after embarkation. Also, she did not change the pool towel for more than 1 week, and we had to ask her to change the beach towel a couple of times before get some fresh ones. So it was not really nice. She was polite, but I think she was ready to go home, and it showed. It is time to vote for service now, and my vote would be a 5 out of 5 if it wasn't for the cabin steward. Because of her, I took away one anchor, and my vote is going to be a 4 out of 5. What is your vote, Rick?
Yeah, I agree with everything you said up until now. I mean, this is we got excellent service, aside from the cabin steward. So 4 out of 5 for me as well. Okay, so time to move to another item to review on our Costa Fortuna cruise, and we'll talk about the cleanliness.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have to say that some of the areas of the ship were really clean, like the buffet, the pools, the restaurants. You could eat off the floor. In fact, those areas were constantly cleaned. However, other areas we found were in need of major scrubbing. For example, the carpets by the elevators had stains that appeared to have been there for a long time. But then, the stairs, which were carpeted, were getting cleaned manually, so who knows, right? Now, one thing we noticed a lot was the fact that there were a lot of repairs going on the ship on this sailing, and some of the areas, or a lot of the areas, were under maintenance. For example, the slides were closed for the whole first week of the cruise because it was getting a new paint job. Now, I appreciate that, but on our cruise. Okay, so it's time to vote for cleanliness, and my vote is a 3 out of 5 anchors. Andrea, what do you think?
My vote for cleanliness is also a 3 out of 5. As you said, some areas were really clean and other not so much. Time to move to another aspect of our Costa Fortuna cruise, and we review the restaurants. Costa Fortuna has 2 main dining rooms, the Raffaello located midship on deck 3 and 4, and the Michelangelo located all the way aft on deck 3 and 4. In particular, the Michelangelo deck 4 was converted into the new Club Bistro restaurant, exclusively for Gold and Platinum members. The dining room were very spacious with a lot of natural light. The tables are pretty close to each other, but not as bad as we have seen in previous ship. La Maremma comes to mind.
It might be because this is an old ship.
Maybe. Because we're Gold members, we had seated at the Club Bistro for breakfast and lunch, but we also had the privilege to use the club restaurant for dinner.
We were very lucky.
Yes, very lucky. Service at the Club Bistro was really good. However, in the morning sometimes we had to wait up to 10 minutes for a cappuccino because the bar was really busy.
They have to go all the way to the front of the ship.
Yeah. Also, at the Club Bistro for breakfast and lunch, it's possible to choose from a served meal or a buffet style in the main dining room downstairs. For dinner at the club restaurant, the service was absolutely impeccable. And our waiter Karma, that we recognized from a previous ship on Costa Toscana, was absolutely amazing. One of the best service we ever had.
Yep.
Kudos for you.
But we always say that in the club, right?
Absolutely. On deck 9, towards the back of the ship, you can find the buffet. The buffet area is decently big, with a great variety of food. There were a great number of tables at the buffet. Also, almost every day at lunch, there was a special pop-up buffet by the pool, with some specialty destination items related to the next port of call, which is very nice, actually. Everyone seemed to love this special buffet, and they were very, very well attended. We only used the buffet once because it was always really busy, and we really enjoy having lunch at the Club Bistro downstairs. So that's what we did. Now it's time to vote for a restaurant, and my vote is a 4 out of 5 for the Gold Bistro because the morning wait for cappuccino was really long sometimes. For the club restaurant, my vote is a solid 5 anchor out of 5 because it was fantastic and we were really happy to see Karma again. For the buffet, my vote is a 4 out of 5, even though we did only use it once and we did not use it very much. What is your vote, Rick?
Yeah, so what Costa tends to do really well is the restaurants, right, across the fleet. For restaurants, I'm happy to say that my vote is a 5 out of 5 because I'm always happy eating on board Costa. Okay, so time to review our next item on board the Costa Toscana. And since we were just talking about...
Toscana?
Right, the Fortuna, we'll talk about the food. As usual, I'm pleased to report that the food on board the Costa Fortuna was absolutely delicious, just as it's been on pretty much all of our 14 previous Costa cruises. The variety was excellent with lots of choices between seafood and vegetarian, and my mum and her partner seemed to enjoy the soups a lot, and they ordered a soup for almost every meal. Now, we were speaking with some American passengers on board, and they were complaining about the food a lot, which is very surprising. In particular, they said that the food is pretty bland. Now, after some digging, because, it's my personality, I discovered that what they meant by bland was that it wasn't the typical Italian food that they were used to eating back in the States, and that is absolutely true. On the Costa Fortuna, the food is comparable to a high-end restaurant in Italy. So if you are expecting dishes covered with a mountain of melted cheese, garlic, and parsley, you're out of luck. But one thing I did notice, and it can be part of the problem, is the fact that the English menu translations are really terrible. Even when I read the English menu, most of the time I have no idea what the dishes are. So I either look at the Italian version or I have to ask Andrea or the waiter. So Costa, if you're listening, please do a better job translating the menu in English because they really don't make any sense. Or ask me. One thing I've always suggested is to have some photos on the menus.
Like Dennis?
Because, no, like the cakes that they have, the specialty restaurants on the Costa menus. I think that they could do a better job of including photos of what you're eating because, we eat with our eyes. Oh, and of course, one night on our cruise, the head chef, the executive chef, Gianluca, he prepared for us an amazing seafood soup, which I have to admit, listen here, was probably the best dish I ever had. It was absolutely amazing. Gianluca, if you're listening, thank you. Very well done. This is your moment. Also, of course, the desserts are absolutely phenomenal. Our friend Ricardo Balera has the one, he's the brainchild behind most of them, which we think are very flavorful and innovative. Okay, so it's time to vote for the food, and of course my vote is a 5 out of 5 anchors. Andrea, what do you think?
Well, I totally agree. The menu translation is terrible, and I'm surprised that Costa never addressed it. However, the food and the dessert are absolutely phenomenal, and I think they deserve a solid 5 anchor out of 5, no question there. Time to move on to our next item to review on board of the Costa Fortuna cruise, and we will talk about the bars. Costa Fortuna has 10 bars and lounges. Starting on deck 3, you have the atrium bar right at the middle of the ship, by the ship entrance and the panoramic elevator. This bar has some of the nice table around the dance floor in the middle, and it has a good spot for the last minute coffee break or cappuccino before getting off the ship and going on excursions. Moving on deck 5, you have the grand bar right at the midship. This is also the main dancing area on the ship and the area where the most of indoor activities take place, like the trivia, the bingo, the games, and so on. Moving towards the back of the ship, past the casino, you'll find the wine bar Conte Rosso, that is also a piano bar, and right next to it you have the Salone Leonardo da Vinci, where there are a little stage that is used for shows, live music, and karaoke. Moving on deck 9, midship, right by the pool, you have the Lido Oceania bar, and at this bar there is also a small area with the Amarillo Gelato and crepes. This was one of the busiest bars on board, especially when the buffet was open. Sometimes the line at this bar were really long, and we have to admit it was a little chaotic. However, one of the best and friendliest bartender was working here, is Mark.
Oh yes, of course. Hello.
Hello, Mark. He was always really efficient and always smiling, even when the bar was packed. Also on deck 9, all the way at the aft, by the covered pool, you'll find the Bar Lido Colombo. This was our favorite place for a drink before dinner, because it was quiet and relaxed. Here we met Remy, another amazing bartender. She was really nice, funny, and extremely good at her job. She was able to invent a drink for Doug, Rick's mom's partner, that he loved, and she was making it almost every night for him.
Thank you, Remy.
Thank you, Remy, for that. The last bar on the ship is on deck 12, all the way to the front. This bar was not open at night, and most of the time the staff there seemed to be the least friendly on the ship and not the most pleasant.
Maybe it wasn't their favorite place to work, right?
Maybe it was very windy, I don't know. Overall, we were really happy with the bars on board of the ship. We think that the number of bars is adequate for the size of the ship. The only thing that can be improved is the Lidio Oceania bar on deck 9, because at lunch it gets really busy. So it's time to vote for bars, and I give a 5 anchor out of 5, and a special thank you to Remy and Mark. What's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, if you've got a drink for me, my vote for a bar is a 5 out of 5, especially if you're there with a smile. Okay, so time to review another item on our Costa Fortuna cruise, and we'll continue with the drinking package. As we mentioned in previous videos, Costa has a great drinking package that I think is quite affordable. However, in order to have the best price on the drinking package, you should buy it at the time you make your reservation by selecting the all-inclusive option if you can. Because once you're on board, that package is going to be way more expensive. At the time of booking, you can pick the My Drinks package that covers wines by the glass, Prosecco at the bars, not the restaurants, coffees, teas, specialty coffees, aperitifs, and classic cocktails. Also, you can upgrade online to the Plus package that includes the premium wines, the top shelf liqueurs, and cocktails, and so on. Overall, it's a great value and we strongly recommend it. And unlike the American ships, it includes unlimited drinks. Other ships, they limit you, right? So for the drinking package, my vote is going to be a solid 5 out of 5 anchors. And Andrea, what do you think about it?
Well, my vote for a drinking package is also a 5 out of 5. Let's move on to our next topic of our Costa Fortuna cruise review, and we'll talk about specialty restaurants.
The specialty restaurants?
Specialty restaurants.
Okay, the specialty restaurants it is.
Specialty restaurants. On board the Costa Fortuna, there are only 2 actual specialty restaurants. The Suscino, located on deck 5 all the way aft, and the Pumidoro Pizzeria, located on deck 10 all the way aft. We did not try the Suscino, so we cannot review it. We noticed that on this sailing, that was never busy at all. We did try the pizza on board, but we asked to have it delivered to our club restaurant. The pizza was excellent as usual, and we did enjoy it very, very much. On board the Costa Fortuna, there are also 2 new pop-up specialty restaurants, the Grill Lovers and the Dinner Under the Stars. For these 2 restaurants, they use the table located at the back of the pool, right at the covered pool.
And converted that area into the restaurant.
And converted that area into a restaurant. The price for the Grill Lovers is 18 euros per person for a set menu, while the price for the Dinner Under the Star is 30 euro for a 3-course meal. We did not try the Grill Lovers, so we cannot review it.
But we didn't meet anyone.
No, we never see anybody there. We did, however, try the Dinner Under the Stars, and let us tell you our experience. Okay, first of all, Costa sells this restaurant as an intimate romantic restaurant for a date night. Well, in our opinion, the location is not the most ideal for a romantic dinner at all. In fact, being in an enclosed area, pool area, the smell of chlorine is anything but romantic. Second, there are kids running around the pool, splashing and playing, making it not an intimate place at all. Unfortunately, we have to report that the food was not good at all at this restaurant. My ribeye steak was dry and overcooked, and actually very bland.
Actually bland? Actually, my mom and Doug and I ordered the lobster too, right? And I have to say, it was overcooked and dry as well.
Bottom line, we were very disappointed by this restaurant, and we will not try it again. Lastly, on board the Costa Fortuna, there's the usual gourmet burger joint, again located at the same place as the 2 previous restaurants. We did not try it, so we'll not review it. Well, it's time to vote for the specialty restaurant on board the Costa Fortuna, and my vote is a 2 out of 5 anchors. I give it a 2 because the pizza was excellent, otherwise would be a 1.
Yep.
What's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, this is a strange one. I too like the pizza, as usual, but the dinner under the stars was a bit of a disaster. But I don't think I would go as far as a 2. I would give it a 3 out of 5 for the specialty restaurants. Okay, so time to move on to our next thing to review on board the Costa Fortuna cruise, and we'll talk about this spa and the gym. The spa and the gym on board the Costa Fortuna are located on deck 12, all the way at the front of the ship. Now, this ship or this spa doesn't have the usual big wellness center that we've enjoyed on other ships like the Toscana and the Smeralda, but there is a segregated dry sauna and steam room, one in the male section and one in the female section.
You have no photo of that because you cannot take photos of that.
There's also a jacuzzi in the middle, which is both for male and female. But, one nice thing is that it was all free to use. Now, I have to say that the area is in urgent need of an update. The male steam room, well, at least the one that we went to, is in very rough shape. Now, it has a nice, huge window, but the indoor jacuzzi looked like something from an amusement park in the 80s, maybe from Vegas. We used it once and found that after a few minutes, or I used it once, I found it very uncomfortable. There was a lot of people, and yeah. In terms of the spa, I did have 3 deep tissue massages, and I deeply enjoyed it as well. On this sailing, I'm also pleased to report that I used the treadmill 3 times, and the machines were from Techno Gym. They were very clean, modern, and they worked really well. They also had a Bluetooth connection that could have been useful, but unfortunately my headphones, I don't think they didn't work, but I think it was my headphones and not the treadmill. There were TVs, but they didn't work, which I found a little bit sad. Okay, so time to vote for the spa and the gym, and for me, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because it was free, but it does need a serious makeover, even though the gym equipment was state-of-the-art. Andrea, what do you think?
Well, first of all, I did not use the gym,
really.
So my vote is only for the spa. I think that the spa area is in serious need of makeover. The area could be great if it was brought back to a modern standard. However, it was free to use, so for that reason my vote is a 3 out of 5. Time to move on to our next aspect on our cruise to review, and we talk about entertainment. We found that the entertainment on board the Costa Fortuna was a bit weak.
Really weak, actually.
In particular, during the sea days, there was not much going on during the day, other than a couple of dance classes outside or the usual bingo.
Yoga classes, too.
Yeah. Also, due to the fact that the weather was still a little bit cold at night, most of the parties were held inside, and they were not the fun and energetic as we experienced on previous sailing. We still loved the white party that was probably the only one with a good energy. Also, most passengers on board were families and older passengers, so probably not the usual party crowd that we experienced before. One thing that I particularly enjoyed were the destination lecture. The speaker was great, and he gave us a lot of good information about the destination. He was probably one of the best destination experts I've ever experienced on all my cruises.
Wow.
So I was really happy to go and listen to his lectures. Well, it's time to vote for entertainment, and my vote is a 3 out of 5 for this cruise. What is your vote, Rick?
Yeah, so normally I love sea days, especially for the parties and activities. But I found that during these sea days, I was a bit bored. So what did I do? I went to the gym every time, 3 times, answered emails, and of course had a massage on the sea days. So that was my way of spending the time. So my vote for the entertainment, not the shows, is 2 out of 5 anchors. And I said not the shows because now it's the time to review another aspect of our Costa Fortuna cruise, and I'll talk about the shows. The shows on board the Costa Fortuna were pretty much the usual Costa show with a lot of singing and dancing and acrobatics. Overall, quite good. Nothing special, but good. Some of them we've seen before, and some several times before, and some shows were very forward. They were showing a lot of skin and perhaps a little risque for some, but I don't mind. However, there were a couple of shows that did stand out and we remembered. The first was a magician, and he was good, but nothing special. But some of his tricks felt like they weren't meant for a large theater, right? They were meant for a different crowd. Another one was the LED show that we've seen before. And the performers at this show were the winners of India's Got Talent, and they were incredibly good.
So good.
They were amazing, and everybody loved the show. I will remember this for a long time. So now's the time to vote for the shows, and my vote is a 5 out of 5 anchors. Andrea, what did you think?
I did enjoy the show. We have seen before several times, but overall they were really fun. The LED show was fantastic and I deeply enjoyed it. So my vote is a 4 out of 5 anchors.
Only 4?
Only 4.
Okay.
Time to move on to our next item to review on board of the Costa Fortuna cruise, and we'll talk about the Sea Club. The Costa Sea Club is Costa loyalty program. It has some very good perks, and we strongly recommend you to sign up for it if you're thinking about taking a Costa cruise. If you want to know more about the Sea Club, you can take a look at this video up here. On our cruise on board of the Costa Fortuna, the Costa Club organized two usual events. One for all the members, and the second one, the VIP, dedicated to the Gold and Platinum member and the Suite Passenger. Both events were very nice. In particular, the second one was great because we were able to interact with the captain and many other officers on board. Also, because we are Gold members, we received a nice gift at the end of the cruise, a big traveling bag. On this sailing, we did not receive the metal model of the ship that we love to collect. We were told that the only Platinum member received the ship model.
Yeah, this is a very sad change in my opinion.
Maybe they didn't have that many models because the ship is not
Could be.
Yeah. Being Gold member, we receive a free bag of laundry, which is always a good thing to receive. Also, we had a free pizza that we like, and we were offered a galley tour, which was really, really nice. On this ship, we did not receive a free day at the spa because the spa was actually free for everyone. So I think it's time to vote for the Costa Club, and I give them a 5 anchor out of 5. Everything was good, and I like the perks. What is your vote, Rick?
Yeah, so you pretty much got it all, except I think with one exception, which is why I have to drop the anchor on this one. So in terms of the Sea Club, Costa operates their loyalty program like how most airlines do with expiring miles or points. But after 3 years, the points expire, making it almost impossible to get to the highest tier, Platinum. Actually, I calculated it out, and you'd have to sail like something like 20 weeks a year in a balcony cabin for 3 years to get a Platinum, the Platinum status. But here's the thing. With airline miles, you get free flights. With Costa, you do get some extra perks at Gold and Platinum, but each year it seems like they're taking them away. And even the most traveled guests, the ones with 1 million points, they all tell me the same thing. They took away 400,000 points from me. Costa, if you're listening, please consider the competition where they allow you to keep your status by cruising 2 or 3 or 4 times a year. Or in some cases like Princess, you keep it for life, which is probably a bit extreme.
A little bit.
But yeah. Okay, so my vote for the Sea Club is going to be a 3 out of 5, and it would be a 5 out of 5 if it weren't near impossible to reach Platinum. Okay, so moving on to our next topic to review on board the Costa Fortuna cruise, and we'll talk about the Excursions. Okay, so the excursion desk is located on deck 3 on the left side of the atrium, right by the panoramic elevators. On this ship, we did not see any of the self-serve kiosks to book excursions like we've seen on other ships. However, we have booked a couple of excursions on the app, and the process was easy and efficient. The excursion desk tended to be always busy with long lines. Now, we've booked several excursions on this trip, and overall they were fine, but we did have that one that was really problematic, and we have to admit that the excursion team did not handle the situation at all very well. Here's what happened. As we mentioned earlier, we're traveling with an elderly gentleman that required a walker and has mobility issues. Actually, he can't walk for more than a few hundred yards at a time with a walker. For that reason, we booked all the excursions that were labeled easy, with less than 1 hour of walking. None of them said no walking. Now, one of these excursions was in Mykonos, which was called Mykonos Views and Surprise Tasting. Well, as you can see in this screenshot, it was labeled easy with less than 1 hour of walking, and nowhere was it specified that the excursion was not suitable for people with mobility issues like other excursions did. Long story short, after boarding the bus, our tour guide told us that the first stop was going to be the village in Mykonos, and it was going to take at least an hour and 15 minutes of walking. So we immediately confronted the Costa person on board the bus, and she became very defensive right away, saying that a walk of less than an hour and a walk of about 1 hour and 15, it's the same thing. Well, we pointed it out that it wasn't the same thing to a person who's 85 years of age with a walker, but she insisted that the excursion was easy and there was nothing that she could do. At this point, we asked Costa to arrange for a taxi or transportation to take us back to the ship, it wasn't that far, and a refund for the excursion. And we were told, in no way are we getting a refund or transport back to the ship at this time. It was like she was defending her boss or was worried about her job and didn't care about the passengers. So instead of going back to with the troop, with the trip, we stopped at a restaurant to wait for the group to come back, before getting back on the bus. Before taking us to the restaurant, they took us to a little village where we're going to have dinner. When we arrived at the parking spot for the bus, we immediately noticed that there was a very, very steep hill to climb to the restaurant. And at this point, we were very concerned and again approached the Costa lady. And she became even more defensive, telling us that the hill was only, it's only a short distance and there was nothing that she could do about the hill. Well, at this point, I became a little angry. I pointed out again that this excursion was not an easy one. And finally, the bus driver, he agreed to move us, he agreed to drive us closer to the restaurant.
Gradually.
Yeah, but that's not the end. Once we just arrived at the restaurant, we discovered that there's no accessible bathroom. In order to go to the bathroom, there were several steps up and down and up again. And at this point, my mom's partner, he had an angina attack, and he was forced to take nitroglycerin for this cruise. And again, Costa was not there to help. Back on board, we reported the incident to our English-speaking host, and he immediately brought it up to management, and they discussed it. And very quickly, they refunded half of the excursion for my mom and Doug. So it worked out to a full refund for Doug. They even gave us a free dinner at the Dinner Under the Stars restaurant. But here's the funny thing. The excursion description never changed. It stayed the same. And I think that by not changing that description of the excursion, it's incredibly dangerous and irresponsible, because we actually read the details and made the decisions based on them, and so do other people. Also, the way the guide handled the situation, we found to be rude and unprofessional. So for excursions, I'm giving it a 1 out of 5 because the whole situation, I think, was very, very poorly handled, and I'm sorry to say. Andrea?
Right, and there was one other thing that you forgot.
We
had an excursion that we booked online, Barcelona. For some reason, it got cancelled, but no one told us about the cancellation. Other excursions were cancelled and we were notified in advance. Yet this one in particular just disappeared. Either way, we saw it because we checked the app and make sure that is correct. So I also give the excursion a 1 out of 5, mainly for the issue in Mykonos. I think that the guide should have arranged at least to get us back on the ship right away, but this wasn't something that was going to happen. However, in fairness, all our excursions were fine and the guides understood the situation and they did all they could to help us with the walker and the person with
They even gave us their phone number in case.
Absolutely. Time to move on to our next aspect to review on Costa Fortuna cruise, and we talk about the stores. On Costa Fortuna, all the stores are located on deck 5 midship by the panoramic elevator. On board, you will find the usual types of store: the clothing, the jewelry, the sunglasses, the bikinis, the perfumes, and Costa merchandise. As we mentioned on previous Costa review videos, the onboard selection of toiletry and travel items necessity is non-existent, so don't forget to pack all you need before boarding, especially if you are on a cruise that has a lot of sea days and you cannot go on port and buy them. One thing that we notice is that perfumes on board are really well priced and almost all the time they're cheaper than stores on land. Also on deck 5, by the Grand Bar, there's an area where every day they have a special sales on clothing, watches, or fragrances. My vote for stores is on board of Costa Fortuna is a 3 out of 5 because of the usual lack of toiletry items, and yeah, I don't like them. What's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, actually, I remember I needed deodorant, and where did I buy it? In Argostoli. So, yeah, my vote for the store is also a 3 out of 5 because it doesn't have the necessities that we would need. Even if it was Costa branded deodorant, I would be perfectly fine with that. Okay, so time to review our next aspect on board the Costa Fortuna, and we'll talk about the casino. On Costa Fortuna, the casino is located on deck 5, all the way, well, towards the back of the ship. And the casino, I think, is pretty huge for the size of the ship. It has a big amount of slot machines and tables, and I'm happy to report that the whole casino is smoke-free, which we think is really nice. We've noticed that, though, that the casino was never really busy during this cruise, and we played a little bit without any luck this time. No jackpots to report, I'm afraid. So my vote for the casino is going to still be a 5 out of 5. The area is nice, good selection of games. Andrea, your thoughts?
Well, my vote is also 5 out of 5. The casino, as you said, is huge for the good size of for the ship and has a nice, bright, and lots of natural lights. So I like it. Moving on to our next item to review on Costa Fortuna, and we review the Costa app. The Costa app is the mobile app that we use on board to check the daily events, excursion, menus, restaurant, to connect to the internet, and so on. Overall, the app is fine. It has some good features and works okay. The app is constantly improved, and I'm pleased to report that some feature works well now. In particular, the app seems to load faster than in previous sailing. The push notification works well, and it can be used to send messages back and forth between passengers. Some features are still not working 100%. For example, spa treatment. If they're booked online before cruising, they show up on your event, but if you book them at the spa, they don't show up. The app also allows passengers to perform the safety drill online, and this is a very nice feature because it avoids the necessity to congregate at the theater with the life jacket to do the drill. Also, because we're traveling with older passengers, we have noticed that the app was not very user-friendly for older passengers. Especially when it came to menu, explaining the difference between 5Gs and Wi-Fi, and why you need to be on the Wi-Fi to check the menu of the restaurant was a bit confusing for them. Overall, the app works well and it does what it's needed, but always room for improvement. So I think it deserves a 5 out of 5, and yeah, that's good. So what's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, so my vote for the app is also going to be a 5 out of 5 anchors, and I think it's the best app I found with cruise lines so far that we've sailed with. Okay, so moving on to our next topic to review, and we'll talk about photography. The photo gallery on the Costa Fortuna is located on deck 4 midship, right by the panoramic elevators. The area is quite big and easy to navigate. On Costa Fortuna, there's no kiosks to look at your photos, and unfortunately, all the photos are printed. Also, Costa doesn't have the My Moments or My Shades packages anymore, but now they're selling photo books for the low price of, wait for it, 499 euros. And a little cheaper online if you book it before the cruise. Photographers are all around the ship, and they try to take as many photos of people as possible, doing the usual, Costa poses. But I don't think that they were very pushy. There was one guy, Jeffrey. I found him to be very nice and funny, and allowed me to take photos the way I wanted it. Though one time he did say his boss would kill him. Also, Costa is promoting the iris photos, and they are sold starting at $29.99, which I think they also look pretty cool. Okay, so time to vote for photography, and my vote is a 4 out of 5 anchors. I still think that the prices are way too expensive for photos, and it's sad that it's not possible to buy just the digital files without buying the printed copy. Andrea, what do you think?
Well, my vote for photography on board is a 2 out of 5 for a few reasons. First, I don't like these fake stage photos that always look the same. Reason number 2, I hate the insane waste of paper. In the digital era, all the photos should be printed upon request. Lastly, the photos are way too expensive, and as you said, it's not possible to buy the digital photo without buying the printed copy, so I don't like that.
Yeah, there should just be a package of digital files and be done with it.
Absolutely. Time to review another aspect of our cruise on board of the Costa Fortuna, and we talk about the internet on board. The internet on board has been upgraded to the new Starlink technology, and it is way faster than it used to be. However, the prices are still way too expensive. There are a few packages that can be bought either online or on board. In particular, there's a WhatsApp package that was the cheapest, and on board was 72 euros for a 14-day cruise. The social package that was good for WhatsApp, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, etc. X.
Yes.
And this one was for 2 weeks, 140 euros. There was a full internet that was good for pretty much everything on board, and it was 238 euros for 2 weeks
Per person.
There was a per day full internet that was 39 that covers the sea days. And lastly, there was a per minute option that's 13 cents per minute. We really think that the price for internet on board could be improved, especially when considered that the other cruise line includes the internet in their all-inclusive package. Also, if Costa comes up with an all-inclusive package that includes unlimited internet, it will be able to open a new segment for travelers who like to do remote working, or smart working as they call it in Italy, because travelers like us who love to work from a cruise ship needs the internet. So it's time to vote for the internet, and I give it a 3 out of 5 anchors because I think it's way too expensive. What's your vote, Rick?
Yeah, it's true. In Europe, an individual Starlink connection costs only about 40 bucks a month for internet, and Costa wants 238 euros for 2 weeks. I think that's a bit much.
Yeah.
So I used the 13 cents a minute option. My vote for the internet, because of that, is going to also be a 3 out of the 5. Lower the price to, let's say, 50 bucks a week, and I think a lot more people would be buying it. Okay, so let's review another aspect of the Costa Fortuna cruise, and we'll talk about price and value, right? While we're on the topic. For this cruise, we spent 1,946 euros per person for 15 days with the all-inclusive package in a balcony cabin. And remember,
we paid for our cruise, we didn't get sponsored.
So this works out to about 129 euros per person per day, which is about the average for a Costa cruise. In our opinion, this is very good value for a true all-inclusive vacation with unlimited drinks and gratuities. But all-inclusive doesn't mean that internet is included, which I think, as I said before, is a shame. Other cruise lines offer it, and I'd be happy to pay a touch more to get it. Also, we have to mention that the prices for excursions on Costa seem to be fair, and they also offer packages for excursions, giving the passengers even more value. In our case, we did not buy any excursion package because in most of the ports, we went out on our own, and the excursions in the packages, they just weren't interesting to us. So now it's time to vote for the price and value. And of course, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 because I think the value is exceptional and the price is fair. Andrea, what do you think?
Well, I also give Costa a 5 out of 5 for price and value. I really enjoy the true value of the all-inclusive package, and I like to have a vacation which I don't feel that I have to think every time I swipe my cards. So I really like it. Moving on to our next item to review on our Costa Fortuna cruise, and we talk about the future cruise desk called the Sea Dreams. The Sea Dream office is where the future cruise consultants on board are. The office is located on deck 4 next to the photo gallery. We did visit the Sea Dream office to make a couple of bookings. The first few days of the cruise, the Sea Dream office was always empty, but toward the end of the cruise, it was always really busy with very long lines. Our first booking was made with a junior agent that was quite slow. It took her more than 1 hour for one single booking. And also, we discovered that she was not very accurate with her pricing. For our next bookings, we went to see Shaila, the manager, and she was amazing. Really, really fast and efficient. We took some friends of ours to see her, and she was able to get them an amazing price as well, almost 1,000 euros less than they were quoted previously online.
Yeah, actually, they booked 2 cruises, 2 that we suggested because they would be sailing with us. Maybe we should be selling cruises,
Maybe.
right?
Now, Costa, if you're listening, it's a little suggestion. You should have a dedicated senior agent and an appointment system at the Sea Dream, at least for the Gold and Platinum member. It's not right that the passenger that booked the most amount of cruises have to wait in line for hours and get incorrect prices by a junior agent. So maybe think about this.
But you know, there is one thing about Sea Dream that I do like, and perhaps you may have forgotten to mention. When you book at Sea Dreams, you're usually getting the very best price possible.
Absolutely.
Because of all of the discounts you get for buying it on board.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's for sure. Well, time to vote for the Sea Dream, and my vote is a 4 anchors out of 5, because Shaila was amazing. But if I have to base my vote on the junior agent, it would be much lower. What is your vote, Rick?
Yeah, actually, Shaila was amazing. Made us laugh, gave us a good price. I think we booked 4 cruises, by the way, with Shaila. And 3 of them were suites.
Yeah.
Honestly, about the other one, the other lady, she was new. She wasn't ready to be customer facing. It was a mistake. Not a big deal. We move on. 4 out of 5 anchors. I'm happy with that. Okay, so moving on to our next topic to review on board the Costa Fortuna. It's probably the saddest one. Disembarkation. The disembarkation process for us was incredibly smooth and quick. Our assigned time was 9:15 to pick up our bags, and that's when we left the ship. We had a Costa person, of course, helping us with the wheelchair, and he took us all the way to the car. Outside the terminal, we were able to collect our car keys, and we were driving away in less than 10 minutes from the ship. So for disembarkation, my vote is easy. 5 out of 5 anchors. Andrea, what do you think?
My vote is also a 5 out of 5 anchors. The whole process was smooth and quick, and the fact that they were helpful with the wheelchair made it a big, big difference. So after this very long review, let's try some conclusion about our Costa Fortuna cruise. So it might sound that we did not have a good time on board the Costa Fortuna, but I assure you, even with a few opportunities to improve, overall we had a wonderful time on board. As we mentioned, the ship was a bit old and needed a major makeover, but the service was great and we were treated really, really well. We deeply enjoyed the food, and for this reason we would like to thank the head chef Gianluca and his team for the great work. Also, a big shout out to Karma, our waiter, and the restaurant, Marty and Jeffrey. and all the people that helped us so much.
Right, because you guys are the ones that make our holidays away from home even more amazing.
Absolutely. Other than that problem with the excursion, Mykonos, the cruise went really well, and we had an amazing time on board and off board.
Mm-hmm. Well, folks, that's what we've got for you today. As usual, we hope that you liked our video, and if you have any questions about our trip, the itinerary, Costa, or just want to say hi, don't hesitate to leave a comment below.
Absolutely.
And of course, if you see us on board or around Europe or anywhere, don't hesitate to, tap us on the shoulder, say hello, and because we love to meet you guys. In the meantime, we will see you in our next video.
Ciao.
Ciao.